Brushes are going to allow you to do a lot of different things, and we want to figure out how we work with these a little better and do some more exciting things. Up here in the top panel, you're going to see that you have brushes and some of the brush tips that you're allowed to use. Now, these are just a few sampling brushes that they give you with the program. If we pull this all out, you can see that there's soft brushes, there's harder brushes, there's brushes that are more like traditional art brushes. That's a nice thing about the newest version of Photoshop, newer versions of Photoshop, that you can grab these brush tips and you can do some actual traditional painting techniques and stuff like that. Here are some charcoal brushes in here. Then you've got some shape brushes like scattered maple leaves, charcoal, rough edges, wet sponge, old oil medium, wet flow. There's a whole bunch of different brushes here. Up here we can adjust the size of the brush. If you come out, we can see that we have different sizes. My cap lock was on. Okay, there we go. If we move it down, you see it's smaller. If you move it up, much larger. If you have your caps lock on, then your brush will not, there it is. So then my caps lock is on. Take my cap lock off. You'll see the size of your brush as long as your cap lock is not on. So if you're not seeing your brush size, make sure the cap lock's not on. Now, if you notice down here in our color palette, the foreground color is black. I just opened a brand new document, just 8x8, 72 dpi, just so I can show you a little bit of what's going on. There's a soft edge brush like we've got going on there. And if I pick a hard edge brush, notice the hardness is all the way up to 100%. When I had the other brush, the hardness was down here to 0. So if I click down here and paint, you can see the difference between the two brushes, soft and hard. So it's more like a spray paint than a regular painting or marker. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to do a select all on that layer and hit delete with white or background color to fill that like that. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that's going on with the brushes. So let's grab that brush again. Let's come down here. Let's grab a charcoal brush. And if you see, we can paint with that brush, and that's what we get. If we change to scatter brush, you can see that we get different effects. Now this is all fine and dandy. When I first started using brushes, I was like, oh, okay, this is neat, but that's not that fancy. So I'm going to select all, and I'm going to delete that again. And let's try something a little different. So if we come in here and we pick, let's say stick with this brush right here. And to get out of that brushes panel, all you have to do is click anywhere else. Okay, I'm going to deselect. We start painting, we'll get the same results as we did before. Let's move my layers panel over a little bit. And let's go up top to Window, and let's find Brushes. Brushes panel is going to be a much larger panel than the one up top. We've got lots of things going on here. Let's turn off all these things here so we can see what's going on. Brush tip. So if we go in here, we can make this much bigger, much smaller, whatever we want. Find a brush that we want. So currently we're still in this brush right here. See the preview down here in the bottom? This is showing us what's going to happen when we paint. Let's go to the shape dynamics, and let's go to shape size jitter and see what happens when we push that up a little bit. Look at how, okay, now it puts a little bit of an edge on there because it's shape dynamics, and the size jitter is making it a little jittery. And if we change the angle jitter, see what's happening down here? It's now turning the brush as it goes. So we get a more scattered effect. We can also do a minimum diameter, so it will change the diameter of the brush a little bit more and more. And then what we can do is come down here to the scattering brush. Go to the scattering brush, and the scattering brush, if we change the jitter on that, if we even take it all the way up, look what it does. It pushes, as we paint, it pushes the brush all over the place. So we get more of an effect. Now let's paint a little bit. And look at that. Now I'm asking my laptop, which is an older laptop, to do quite a bit here. And it's doing that, so we're just going to undo that. And we drop the scatter down like so. And we get more like that. So you can see where we have a lot of control with our brushes. I'm going to undo that again. Then what we're going to do is we can come in here to the color dynamics. Okay? If we come into the color dynamics, this is where it gets a little interesting. If we go in here and change the hue jitter and move that up, it's going to actually, when we paint, because we're in black and white, see down here we're in black and white. If we come in here, you're going to see that it's varying the colors. So it's trying to jitter up or jump around between those colors to give you some different effects, which is really kind of cool. If we go to saturation jitter, bump that up a bit, it's going to even make it more. So let's undo that, come back over here, and let's add a color in here. Let's add like a red, and then go to our background color, and let's make a blue. And now watch what happens when we paint. Because we've got the hue jitter up so high, it is adding colors that are in between the spectrum and the hue. And the saturation, we can, so if I undo that, brightness, and let's really bump up the saturation and the hue. And watch what happens when we paint. We are really getting all kinds of colors, all kinds of things happening. All because of this whole brush palette. We can go in here and change all these effects, do all these things. So this gives us a lot more control, flexibility with the brushes. You know, we could just go in, we could turn all this stuff off and just have a brush and paint, and it's going to paint with the foreground color, or if we hit X on the keyboard and paint, it's going to paint with the background color. Sometimes just painting like that will give you the desired effect, but sometimes using the brush panel to give all these other extra things in here just makes things really cool, really funky, and in the next video we're going to take this a little further.